So the Space Marine second in command is getting a much needed makeover. At 14 models down the line, have we reached perfection? Let's talk about the Primaris Lieutenant's new model and new rules. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today I thought we'd take a look at the new Primaris Lieutenant model and its new rules from Strike Force Agastus. Games Workshop very much playing into their own meme here. There really are quite a lot of factions where they've released more Primaris Lieutenants than their entire HQ line. Let's take a quick look at the model and the different options they've put on it this time, then talk about the datasheet and the new Wargear combos that you can potentially run with it, and which lieutenants I think are going to be best now for the Space Marine army. So first up, this is the new kit with the sprues for the lieutenant from the box set. I'm pretty sure at some point this one will be sold individually, and I'm going to guess that this is going to be the generic model going forward, as it's actually got a decent amount of Wargear choice, as opposed to the more set loadout monopose models that they've had before. Definitely a small step up in terms of the model kits they've got on offer, I think, though maybe nothing groundbreaking. In terms of Wargear, you've got the option of a power sword, power fist, or pointy hand, and then for the ranged weapon, you've got the choice of either a heavy bolt pistol, a bolt rifle which you can actually equip either as a regular one, auto one, or stalker one, and also a plasma pistol as the other option. There's a few other aesthetic details as well, things like a head swap, a choice of different loincloth type things, and you can assemble them with a tilt plate or not if you'd like. A bit more interesting than the ones previously, but it does seem that they've gone down the route of not making literally every option available in this one. You still don't have the one that's the lieutenant with the Neo-Volkite pistol and the storm shield in this same box. I guess you'd have to get that from the Indomitus or starter sets. It seems that with the new model they've redone the datasheet. This new one comes from the Strike Force Agastus box set, and for the most part it's kind of as you'd expect. They move 6 inches, hit on 2s, have strength and toughness 4, 5 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 8 and a 3+ save. As their lieutenants they don't get an invul, unlike their captain superiors. Their main boost, as it has been for Space Marines for a while, is that they have an aura of core units getting reroll 1s to wound, a decent enough damage boost, and if all you want is extra damage on your targets, then lieutenants tend to be a little bit more efficient than captains for that, though captains definitely have their own advantages in an improved stat line, inbolt invul save, and the reroll 1s can work on plasma weapons, which can be helpful to stop your models losing casualties to overheat. The points in the Strike Force Agastus box set are a little bit off though. Space Marines got a big points reduction, and Primaris Lieutenants dropped down to 65 points inclusive of Wargear, and that means that this one just doesn't really fit in with the ones that are in the Munitorum Field Handbook. They're 65 points where he's 70 base and has to pay for his Wargear. My guess would be that they might publish a small bit of a errata to that end, just say use the points in the Field Handbook and keep all the Lieutenant costs at 65 points. It would be pretty weird to leave all of this gear as more expensive than the rest. In any case, with the Wargear options in the new kit, this does add a few interesting things to the Lieutenant's datasheet. Perhaps the biggest win for the model is being able to take a Power Fist, which they couldn't before. Previously that was only locked to the captains, as they hadn't released a Lieutenant with a Power Fist yet. Quite a nice one to allow them to be able to punch up against big tanks and things. They still can't get access to things like Thunderhammers though, which would be kind of nice. It was also kind of interesting that they could take a mastercrafted auto and stalker bolt rifles, but not the standard one. Now they can take any of the 3. Previously, the plasma pistol was arbitrarily locked to the Dark Angels lieutenants, which seemed a bit pointless. Again, it was just because the only plasma pistol armed one was a Dark Angel specific sculpt. As well as the options in this kit, they've also reprinted the options for the Space Wolves axe loadout, the one with the axe and the special issue bolt carbine, plus the Indomitus one with the storm shield and power sword. They don't reprint any options for the Black Templars Castellan type options. I guess they're within the main codex for them as add-in Wargear options. On top of all that, perhaps the other interesting thing is that it actually makes most of the loadouts kind of flexible. Previously they were locked to a few set ones. Say if you had a mastercrafted power sword, you could only pair that with a bolt pistol. Now you can pair that with the plasma pistol, the bolt rifles of any description, or a heavy bolt pistol. So that's the Wargear gains, but breaking down what they can actually take, this is the list. On the datasheet it comes with the mastercrafted bolt rifle as standard, 30-inch range, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP -1 and damage 2, and that one costs +5 points at base. And maybe we wouldn't get too hung up on the points cost, as I have a feeling that they'll all just make them 0 to make it fit in with the current points cost soon. The standard lieutenant also comes with a bolt pistol and frag and crack grenades as well. Then going through the Wargear options, you can swap out that bolt rifle for one of the other patterns, which is basically identical to the ones that you get on intercessors, but just +1 damage, a plasma pistol which also costs 5 points, a mastercrafted power sword, or a power fist that costs 10, or the Indomitus loadout with the Storm Shield and Power Sword. That one costs 20 points, so would be up to the 90 it was previously, though in current 40k it's dropped down to 65 as mentioned. Any of the loadouts, if you retained your bolt pistol, then you can swap it out to a heavy bolt pistol for free. That one's plus 6-inch range and AP -1, so seems like a no-brainer. And then weirdly they give you the option that if you haven't already got a Power Fist or Mastercrafted Power Sword, you can take one in addition. Basically meaning that you can combine those weapons with any one of the ranged ones, whether it's a plasma pistol, bolt rifle, or heavy bolt pistol. Overall, it's a slightly convoluted way of basically saying take a gun and a combat weapon of some sort. The combat weapon's optional, and you can swap the whole thing out for the Storm Shield and Power Sword loadout. Finally, as mentioned, they do include the Space Wolves option. That's the one that allows you to swap out the gun for the special issue bolt carbine, 2 shots at 24 inches, strength 4, AP -2, and damage 2, plus the Mastercrafted Power Axe, which is a power axe at damage 2, and all of that costs 5 points in total. I'd say that's not a particularly bad one, both the gun and the axe are fairly generalist profiles. On top of these loadouts as well though, you get the option of taking the other lieutenants within the codex. There's the Phobos one for 70 points that gets Deep Strike, the Reaver one that doesn't but gets Terror Troops for the -2 leadership, plus Reaver keywords like shot grenades, and then the Firstborn Lieutenant, which is maybe the main rival. They can take a jump pack for some actually good mobility, moving 12 inches with fly. They get a worse stat line but can access a Thunder Hammer for an extra 10 points, plus getting a free combi weapon like a combi melter is pretty nice as well. As mentioned, my guess would be that they make the new Lieutenant Wargear all absolutely free, so you'd be able to pick up something like a Power Fist and a Mastercrafted Bolt Rifle loadout, and that seems kind of interesting. I feel like perhaps the most interesting thing about it might be to allow you to take relic Power Fists, such as say the Crimson Fist one, which is rather good at a flat damage 3. A few other chapters also have decent ones though. Overall, when weighing up Wargear though, I feel just for all-around value on the battlefield, I think it's going to be hard to beat that Indomitus one at 65 points. It's a really nice cost for a fairly threatening melee weapon, okay shooting with that Volkite pistol, and perhaps most importantly the Storm Shield, which turns the Lieutenant from being a really easy to kill model with no invul save into one that might credibly survive a round of high value enemy attacks. It makes him far less trivial to remove when you're scrapping over objectives and things with enemy elites. Overall, for those reasons, I still think that he will be my go-to for a standard support character, but I feel like the other variants could have their niche uses, the new one for maybe getting a relic Power Fist, the Firstborn one for getting a jump pack and combi melter, and the Phobos and Reaver ones if you want their abilities and keywords. Still though, nice to see the datasheet getting a little bit more flexible with more Wargear options being added. It's a bit of a reversal of a trend in general for 9th edition, and hopefully Games Workshop keeps it up with flexible kits like this. In any case, let me know your thoughts on the wild world of Space Marine Lieutenants. Would you be tempted to fill them in your army at the moment, and if so, which variant? If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, or I'll certainly keep up the regular videos. I'll be going over the Strike Force Agastus box set, and if you wanted to check out my recent review of the Primaris Desolation Squad, I'll leave that linked in the video description. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that linked down below as well. Channel patrons are what allow me to keep on making videos like this quite so regularly, so if you are enjoying a lot, any support is enormously appreciated. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.